Time being 6 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call vote, please. Roll call, please, Patty.
Sherry,
Here.
Don,
Here.
Dan,
Here.
Wanda,
Here.
Joe.
Here. This time, would anybody like to abstain for financial or non-financial conflict of interest?
No.
No. I have none. That I will open up to public comment. If anyone would like to make public comment, now is the time. We'll then,
Approve agenda.
oh, sorry, skipped over. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
I would move approval. Second.
Motion in a second, further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now I will open it up to public comment. Come on forward, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I saw that you had employee holidays on the agenda. I didn't know it was going to be on there. I would have probably tried to get this information in your packet. But the last few days I compiled this. And I guess I just wanted to point out that we are on the low end in terms of holiday days off. 92% of the counties give more holiday days off than we do based on 2021 and 2022, you know, the way it's laid out. And so I don't know that you'll be making any decisions tonight. As you look at that, you'll see maybe some counties go a little too far, but we're definitely on the low end. And I guess if you would wanted to, I've got quite a bit of information here from all those counties I contacted. Here's just a few samples of the responses. You can pass them down, but I've got a lot of information. And if you would want to form a committee to look at this issue, I would, certainly volunteer to be on it.
Okay.
I apologize for, I know this is on the agenda and I apologize for bringing it into public comment. My daughter has a high school event at 6:30, so thanks for allowing me to do that.
Yep, understood. Thank you. Anybody else care to make public comment? Please come forward. We have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Ryan Heine, and I'm actually commenting about an agenda item set up, and it's kind of related to that regarding the Doe Road that is built over a BY water line. That was presented. It's kind of this weird, I told you so type thing, but that road should have never been built. It violates multiple issues in the subdivision ordinance. It's for starters, it's built on an incomplete road right away. It's only 33 feet versus 66 feet, as said in 2827.a. It's built off center, forcing it over and because of that, it's built off center and forced it over the water line. It's built too narrow. It's far short of the 24 feet that's required in 2828C. That's creating a danger hazard issue, as we see lots of underage children walking, driving UTVs on this road. It's also very interesting to note that he actually blocked off north access to this road and he tried to make it a one-way. That's kind of a weird situation with emergency services, since the E911 address is supposed to go down that road, and so the E911 addressing would have to go against that one-way or go around those blockades somehow. So this road should never have been built. It's off center. It's creating a mess in the area. And when we talk about all the infrastructure problems that we're having, especially down in the lake area with all the extra traffic, the last thing we need to do is allowing these roads being built incorrectly. And he had many chances to work out to try to get a 66-foot row. He never ever responded to our lawyers or anything like that to try to work anything out. So I'm really concerned that this is a very dangerous road, that when I read this document, who's really going to be liable? Is the county's going to become liable when the first child is killed on that road, ran over by a camper? And is the county going to be liable because they approved a road that goes against their own ordinances? And you can And I'm just worried that, the county's gonna find itself in more lawsuits and more of our tax dollars going to things that could have been avoided by just simply following the laws. Thanks.
Anybody else care to make public comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. Item 5, Mike, come on forward.
What I have on the agenda is to approve the Hutchinson County milling bid from Loiza Construction. This would cover 2 of our projects for this year. The one project being the profile mill on Walshtown Road, and then also the full depth milling on East Side Drive for reconstruction.
I'll move with approval of the bid.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Pretty easy. Okay, item number 6, declare March 29th, 2022 as Welcome Home Veterans Day.
All right. Well, first off, thank you to Chairman and Patty for forwarding this on to me and saying, yeah, we should probably do this. All right, it's the Yankton County Proclamation, and I will read if that's okay. Bear with me. I've only read through it twice, so I'll probably mess it up. This is a proclamation designating March 29th, 2022 as Welcome Home Veterans Day. Whereas the Vietnam War was fought in Vietnam from 1961 to 1975 and involved North Vietnam and the Viet Cong in conflict with the United States Armed Forces in South Vietnam. And whereas the United States became involved in Vietnam because policymakers in the United States believed that if South Vietnam fell to a communist government, then communism would spread throughout the rest of Southeast Asia. And whereas members of the United States Armed Forces began serving in an advisory role in South Vietnamese in 1961, and whereas as a result of the Gulf of Tonkin incidents on August 2nd, 1964 and August 4th, 1964, Congress overwhelmingly passed the Gulf of Tonkin resolution on August 7th, 1964, which effectively handed over war-making powers to President Johnson until such time as peace and security had returned to Vietnam. And whereas in 1965, United States Armed Forces ground combat units arrived in Vietnam, and whereas by the end of 1965, there were 80,000 United States troops in Vietnam, and by 1969, a peak of approximately 543,000 troops was reached. And whereas on January 27th, 1973, the Treaty of Paris was signed, which required the release of all United States prisoners of war held in Vietnam and the withdrawal of the United States Armed Forces from South Vietnam. And whereas on March 29th, 1973, the United States Armed Forces completed the withdrawal of combat troops from Vietnam. And whereas more than 58,000 members of the United States Armed Forces lost their lives in Vietnam, and more than 300,000 members of the armed forces were wounded. And whereas members of the United States Armed Forces who served bravely and faithfully for the United States during the Vietnam War were caught up upon their return home in the crossfire of public debate about the involvement of the United States in the Vietnam War. And whereas it was also the first time in history America failed to welcome its veterans back as heroes. And whereas the establishment of Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day would be an appropriate way to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And whereas Yankton, South Dakota and Yankton County, known as Veterans Town, and now therefore be it resolved that the Yankton County Commissioners do hereby recognize March 29, 2022 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. The Yankton County Commissioners further honors and recognizes the contributions of veterans of the armed forces who served in Vietnam, dated this 15th day of March, 2022.
Thank you, Cody. And thank you for kind of getting the word out about this for us. So
I did my best. I really did. I was on the radio and let's see, it was in the newspaper and everything else I could try. So I don't know. I'll bring this up, and then if it's okay, if we could have our Vietnam veterans come up and take a picture with you all, I would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'll move approval of the proclamation.
Oh, yeah, we need that. Sorry.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion.
Yeah, for further discussion, for all you Vietnam veterans there, I just want to say how much I appreciate your service. I remember my last tour of duty, we got delayed with a sandstorm, and we showed up in Fort Dix, New Jersey at 2:30 in the morning, and a group of Vietnam veterans were there for us at 2:30 in the morning to give us some coffee and donuts and say thanks. And I was pretty tired at the time, so I didn't think much about it, but the more I think about it, I appreciate it. And they said, we didn't have any type of welcome home, and we want to make sure you younger veterans have that welcome home. So thank you for what you guys have done, and it's really made a difference for us younger veterans. Thank you.
Better have a vote before we get too carried away. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Is this the new one? Or did you make some changes?
I just took the one off.
Okay.
Let's have you guys come up. We'll get the picture with you.
Come on up, please. This is to honor you.
How do we do this?
I think we
We
can
just smooching?
We just squeeze together and
Remember that.
I guess.
Are we going behind? Or backward? They won't see me if I stand back there.
It's up to you. You can be seen. That's up to you.
Tall people in the back, right? Well, split the difference there. I guess I'll stand in the back then.
Squeezing in here with Sherry. Y'all ready? Thank you. Just want to add a note. I had a similar experience as Commissioner Clemish. When I came home, it was about 3 a.m. So we got back a little bit later than him to Boehner, Maine. And you have no idea how much it meant to see people at 3 o'clock in the morning out there welcoming you home that didn't have to be there. It meant a lot. I mean, they were there with coffee, cookies, juice, but I only had a couple of things on my mind. Get outside and kiss that ground and be happy to be home. But if it wasn't for you all fighting to make sure we weren't treated the same way, I don't think we would have had that. So thank you.
Okay, move on to item 8, Dallas Keller rezone, second reading.
Are we
Seven.
skipping 7?
Sorry,
Just wanting to
sorry.
get out of here.
Cow. Must have
Is
something
Ross
on my
here? I
mind.
don't-
Item 7, affirmation of easement rights and hold harmless agreement.
Do we want to maybe wait till they show up?
Ross had sent me a message and he said if there's, questions, comments, concerns, he will be here later. He had a prior engagement. But I think
If he's coming later, I guess it'd be my opinion. Maybe we just move on to
I
something
would be
else.
fine with that.
Because sure enough, there will be a question. That's how that always happens. If that's okay with the
No,
rest of the
that's
board.
fine with me. That's why I went to item 8, Dan.
We can't do item 8.
That's at
We gotta go to-
6.
We gotta, yeah, I know, we've gotta wait, so we've gotta go to plats. Item 9, plats.
You got 3 plats tonight. First one's a replat of lots 6 and 8 Whitetail Run in the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter of section 16, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. Hereafter to be known as Lot 12 Whitetail Run in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 16, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval of the plot.
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Second one's a replat of Lot K and Lot L in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of section 7, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota, now to be known as Lot K1 and Lot L1 in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of section 7, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval. Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The last one's a plat of tract B in the south half of the southwest quarter of section 33, township 94 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Gary, this is that one way you rezoned from ag to commercial, is that correct?
Correct.
So now it's gone through and
It's gone through the process, and now we can do the plat.
move
So
approval.
it doesn't look like it was updated after we did that. That shouldn't be a concern because it still says there's a dash line that says zoned ag.
Correct.
That should be okay though.
Yes.
Because it's not, okay. I just want to know.
Yeah.
that.
that's my question too. So, move approval.
I'll second.
Motion in a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We are gonna circle back to item 7 now. Mr. Denher, we didn't even begin discussion, so. Hold up. We've got a affirmation of an easement with BY Water. I'll let Mr. Denherter kind of go through that or explain it, I guess.
Okay, so this is kind of a formality. Essentially, BY Water was concerned that the public dedication of the right of way from the Deerfield Truck and Equipment dedicated roadway over top of an existing water line easement that was put on there years and years ago, back when it was still a field, basically, and there was a water line put in there. And now that there's a roadway over top of it, they were concerned about the fact that their easement rights might be jeopardized with a belief or an understanding that that's now a public roadway and not a private easement. So there's a general tenet of property law that is you only can give what you have to give. So if a property owner has a piece of property with an easement underneath it, and then they give that road or they give that land to somebody else or dedicate it as public right of way, they can only give their land subject to that pre-existing easement. So this was just BY asking that the county and the neighboring property owner just agree that their easement was there first and those rights existed and always exist, and no one is going to fight that fact as the years progress. If they ever need to dig into that roadway to repair their water lines, this is just their comfort level as a condition of giving water to the property owners along that existing roadway. So that's what this is. It's just a formality.
So if we don't approve this, nothing is actually changes.
From a legal standpoint, that is correct, but from a practical standpoint, they're not going to give anybody water off of that existing water line. So it's their condition even though all of the lawyers, BY's lawyer, Rob Klimish is the state's attorney, and myself all agree that legally this isn't necessary. This is a comfort thing for their board. So literally nothing changes.
They're not gonna give people water south of that,
North of that,
north of that.
yeah.
No new hookups.
No new hookups. They're basically saying unless we get some, because what they're afraid of is if there has to be digging into that area to repair that water line, they don't want the county to come after them saying, oh, that was a public roadway. You just tore that up. And they have obligations under the easement. They can't do it in a way that's unworkmanlike. They can't just, tear up the whole thing and just leave a gaping hole. There's certain rights that the property owners have under those easements, but they don't want to have more obligations than they would otherwise have under that easement. So they have told my client that no new hookups along that road unless this is done. But with it, they're happy to.
So just as a point of clarification, this does not change the fact that BY's water easement was there before
Correct.
a road was built upon it.
That is correct.
Because we had somebody appear and I took it to be that Mr. Heine was speaking against it because he felt it was in some fashion the county approving that there was a road.
And the road was established when it was dedicated as a right of way. And it was made a condition of the construction of the campground, built the county specs. And there's nothing wrong with having a roadway over a water line. That's the way the entire city was designed. So there's nothing unique about what this is. It's just a matter of comfort for BY.
It's a comfort order.
Right.
I
And
did,
the county doesn't give anything up by doing it. It's just
I did speak with BY as well, and they relayed that they're essentially just making sure that 20, 30 years from now, if something happens, that they want to make sure they're not liable
To refix the road.
to fix the road.
right.
So
And-
it has no effect on the hundreds of other BY pipes that run under roads.
Correct. Well, in most situations, you don't have this exact scenario where you have a dedication of right of way or roadway right over top of where an existing water line is.
I-
Usually when you design a development, you design the water lines with the roadway and that's all engineered ahead of times. But here, the field and the water line was there first.
Well, I
So-
think my understanding is that the easement, the water lines would have been off right of way. And then when that road was built, that was shifted over. And so the road is moved over top of that. But my recollection of that is not a that's a private road through there. That is not a county designated right of way public road right now.
That's correct. It's a privately maintained public roadway.
And so, because I expressed to BY that I felt the county didn't necessarily need to be part of this agreement. It's a private road. But then again, they just want to make sure that they don't care as long as they're not responsible down the road.
Correct.
Well, I don't think the county cares either, as long as we're not responsible down the road. So who's responsible down the road? The man who built the road?
Correct. Well, anyone who wants to use it, because the county isn't paying for it. That's the reality of it. So in this case, the only property serviced by it is the campground alongside it. So yeah, that would de facto fall to Mr. Evans to replace, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I spoke with Rob about this too, and he feels that the county has no liability according to this agreement, and he didn't seem concerned or see any concerns with it.
Correct. Although he did speak with BY Water too, and I guess we weren't informed that without this, they weren't going to supply water.
I told
That-
Rob that by
Oh.
phone when we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that the county cares one way or the other. but
Right. Our
Yeah.
clarification to everybody was it's not a county road. It's not the county's responsibility to maintain it. And so you are correct, Joe, that was Rob's position as well.
And nothing in this purports to make the county responsible either. It's just,
So why is the county in on this then?
we had provided this to BY to begin with, and they said it was dedicated as a right of way, so we need the county to sign off too. So this has already been provided from my client to BY but they want it as a three-way deal, be simply for no other reason than because it was dedicated. So if you look at the actual plat in the owner's certificate, it says they hereby dedicate all roadways on this plat as public right of way forever. So that's what they're concerned about, because the county has jurisdiction over public roads.
But it's not a public road.
Well, we're talking semantics there. It's a public road privately maintained. The fact that you guys don't maintain it doesn't make it any less the public's right to use it. And that's also why the county establishes standards for the maintenance of those roads.
I'd move approval of the affirmation of easement right and hold harmless agreement.
Second.
Motion for approval at the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you,
Motion
guys.
passes 4-1.
Appreciate it.
Hey Cody, we had some other people come in. Are they veterans too? They missed formation, Don, for sergeant's gonna be upset.
Okay, got 3 minutes.
Number 10.
We can move on to advertise for planning commission openings, item number 10.
We have two open planning commission. And so we'll be taking applications basically until 5 o'clock Wednesday, March 30th. So that we can vote on it the first meeting in April for the planning commission meeting in April and the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay, who's Schultz and
Christy Schultz and Chris Barkle are up.
And how many year terms? 2 years?
3.
3
3-year
years.
term? Okay,
So anybody willing to be on the planning commission, let us know.
still have 2
Real
minutes.
popular. John.
He's great.
Okay, with that, we've got a couple minutes left. We'll go to the March 1st meeting minutes before we move on to the rezone.
I would move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Claims.
Move approval of the claims.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion.
Well, I had a question on two of the claims. One of them is on page 9. It was for the state's attorney's office for Carpan for $8,900 or $7,900.
So,
What was that for?
yep, so Carpel is that system management system. And when we signed the contract, we were required to do 50% of the setup fee upon signing of the contract.
When did you sign the contract?
after your commission approval. So,
Oh, okay.
yep. So there's a certain fee that's there. And so good news is we were originally June of 2023. We are now January of 2023. So we keep moving our go live date up. So we're very excited.
And I had a second question. What was the Tabor Lumber Co-op bill for $892?
Paul just gets his supplies there, I think. He has it, he usually has one every month, doesn't he? I'm not sure what supplies are.
Was my questions.
Okay, any other
Do you want me
questions,
to
comments,
look on the bill
concerns?
and see what it's for?
We can do that later. That's fine.
Okay. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And now we're gonna circle back to item 8. Dallas Keller rezone, second reading.
This is a, excuse me, a request to rezone a property from Article 12 Rural Transitional District R2T to Article 7 Moderate Density Residential District R2. Said property is described as Anderson's Addition, located in the southeast quarter, and Leach's Addition in the southeast quarter, as per plat recorded in Book S7, page 44. And the north 217 feet of the east 887 feet, except the east 375 feet of Lot A in the southeast quarter, and Lot A of the southeast quarter, except the west 1,006.74 feet, and except the east 375 feet of the north 400 feet, and except the north 217 feet of the east 887 feet, less the east 375 feet, all located in section 24, township 94 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 30699 US Highway 81, Yankton, South Dakota 57078.
Any questions on this from the board at this time? Okay, I'll open it to public comment. Would anybody in the audience care to speak on this rezone request? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. We'll bring it back to the board. I'll quickly go through the rezone findings of fact from planning and zoning. Applications complete, no fees were required. As this was initiated by the county. Rezone from RT to an R2. This does not confer special privilege. Notice published was at December 3rd, December 14th, which were postponed. But notices were put in the paper. Possible future development is the reason for the rezone. It's in harmony with the ordinance and its intent. The rezone will not be injurious or detrimental to the neighborhood or public welfare. The planning commission finds the situation unique and the current and intended use of the property warrants the rezone. It is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. All ordinances will be complied with, and rezone is administrative to allow for future development. Items 2 through 8 will be addressed and fulfilled at the time of future development. Past planning and zoning 6-0. That I'd entertain a motion.
Move to, excuse me, move to approve the rezone.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Odd shaped lot, but it's combination of lots, but. That roll call vote, please, Patty.
Glenda,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna go back to item 12, auditor, treasurer, and pooled cash report.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. County surplus items.
I just need a motion to surplus these items. And instead of trying to sell them, there's a company, Dan Anderson, was gonna get me a name of a company in Yankton here that will take these and he'll reuse them, I think. for
They
different parts.
refurbish them.
Yeah.
To refurbish them?
Mhm.
Is there any, there's no danger of any data?
No,
getting out
they're
in
all
that
been,
regard, but, you know,
Craig cleaned them and then Dan finished cleaning the rest of
Okay.
them.
I'm looking through this old computers and printer. I mean, not worth our time even trying to sell
No,
something.
because
like
we'd
this.
have to take them, because we use Mike's, the highway, that
Mhm.
Gerard.
Mhm.
We'd have to take them up there and
Yeah,
I think it's
probably
just-
not worth the trip.
No,
You have the name of that company?
It's Recycle IT.
Yes,
okay.
that place.
I think normally they would, I don't know if they charge or ask for a $10 donation if you or I brought something there, but I think with,
I think they just take it.
I think,
John said they do the school.
yeah, the school, this is what they do with their extra, outdated computers and whatnot. So they'll just take it.
I would move to surplus the listed items.
Second.
Motion is second to surplus the listed items. Further discussion.
Is there a couple of items that the highway department had that were surplus?
I think there was, but I think Mike,
I think
Already
those have all
sent them
been
to
surplused
Gerard.
out.
yeah,
Yeah,
You what?
I think he sent them or put them for Gerard to do.
yeah, I think we already
already
surplused them on the,
declared
yeah. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, remove HRA text from county handbook. We'll discuss that and lead into employee holidays. The HRA text is,
We no longer have.
we no longer have an HRA, and I don't foresee that happening again. That was difficult to handle, so IRS doesn't make it easy.
I would move to remove all references to the HRA text or dialogue in the county handbook.
Second.
Second.
Sorry, Don.
Motion by Wanda, second by Dan, to remove reference to HRA in the county handbook. Further discussion. So with that, I think that's something we'll send a request to alternative HRD, or can we just handle that?
We've got
I
the
think we've
Word
got the
document.
Word
I think we just need
document,
to
right?
delete it.
Okay.
Should be fine.
That, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Joe, with that, we're gonna update it on the website as well, correct? When we get that done.
Is the handbook
I
on the
don't think
I
website?
thought it was, I thought it was, it's not.
I don't believe
I
our
don't believe it
handbook's not
can.
on the.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think they
it's
can.
not on. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Okay. So with that, we're gonna lead into employee holidays. As Brian kind of alluded, I don't know that we'll take action tonight. Maybe we will. But this is in reference to the Juneteenth discussion that we've had. I don't know where people want to go with this, if we do want to set up a committee, if we want to put a survey out to employees to pick holidays again. I can tell you one of my concerns with following state or some of those things, I guess, is not all of our departments get those days off. And so I would like to see a resolution to how we handle that, I guess, before we do a whole lot.
I agree with your.
You know, how do we make it fair
Thoughts?
between departments?
In regards, well, I guess I think
Revolving.
And that might be. that
But
might be
how
something
do
that-
we keep track of all these revolving things?
I think
I don't-
the easiest situation would be just to follow what the state does. I thought I saw it in here, something like 42 of the 66 counties just follow the state. That'd probably be the easiest. I know I've heard feedback when we're open on a state holiday, daycare is an issue. And I've said it before, some of our departments rely on state systems. And when the state is down, they're not able to fully function as a department. So if we simply followed the state, I think that would be the easiest. And to your point, Joe, we're never going to be able to completely close down. If we get a snowstorm on a holiday, the highway guys are going to be out.
Mhm.
The ambulance is always out. The sheriff, the jail, those missions never stop. And they have a system in place. And so I guess for uniformity purposes and just predictability, if we went with the state, just follow the state guidelines. I think that would be the simplest.
Well,
So-
I wasn't here for the dialogue with regard to the employee handbook, but I thought the dialogue was that it was important to our employees to have time with their families, which is why the day after Thanksgiving was given. And I believe Good Friday was given as a holiday, and rather than, and not to say that Juneteenth is not important, but it's a random day in the middle of June,
Mhm.
realistically speaking. So
Well, one of the comments or some of the comments of following the state when we reviewed this the first time is they don't get the Friday after Thanksgiving off. And so that was one that I think our employees felt strongly for. You know, if I would like to say, if everyone agreed on X amount of days, I would say we pick 10 of the holidays and 2 of them are floating or something along that lines.
well,
But
in looking at Brian's holidays / close days for South Dakota counties, in the 49 counties that have 13 to 14 holidays off, I would like to know how many of those counties are only open part-time. Some of these counties are, for example, the clerk's office is only open 2 to 3 days a week. Or, for example, Bonham County closes at 4:30. I mean, how do you justify that as compared to extra days off versus what they're getting paid?
sure. I don't foresee us coming up with a solution tonight. Do it.
Why don't we just have Valley send out a email like she did with the health insurance and see how many people answer? Would you rather have Juneteenth off or the Friday after Thanksgiving?
Well, Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, we gave up a vacation day for that already. President's, was it President, Columbus Day?
Mhm.
Or Native American Day. We gave up that to have the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but if we're gonna follow the state holidays, it's gonna be the fixed state holidays.
Well, and I think too,
I'm-
that day after Thanksgiving, the state usually gives that along with it.
No, they don't.
Most of the time they do. The state,
No, the governor usually gives like noon on Christmas Eve. I mean, I can double check. That's
No,
not,
that's-
that's not
So
hard.
what
to do.
that's fine.
Brian's suggestion at the bottom is adopt the state holiday schedule and then decide on Good Friday and he has Black Friday. I think he means, yeah, Black Friday.
I think you.
Yeah, day after Thanksgiving, when the governor does grant them. So that's a starting point, I guess. I don't know.
That sounds, I think that's a good idea. You know, something to consider too. As hard as it is to get and maintain employees nowadays. A holiday off is a lot cheaper than raising it up by a large percent. The state just gave 6% raises and we've had some employees leave recently to go to other organizations, the city, because the pay is better and the holidays are better. So just something to consider.
Would a possible option be so that everybody could be treated fairly, those that have to be there and work, that we give those categories, ambulance, sheriff, we give them an additional day of vacation?
See, I think that's what, I'm not sure, but I think that's, I'm not for sure, but I think they do give them a day off if they work that holiday.
Is that how that works, Sherry, with the ambulance?
So they would get
If
holiday
you-
pay
If you have
and
to
a day
work on the
off.
holiday, then
Yeah.
you
I
can
would
have a float day down the road.
That's a
My
good idea.
suggestion would be an additional day, because if they work that day, they're not getting anything.
Yeah,
Except holiday pay.
They'll do
Yeah,
get-
except
yeah.
holiday pay, and they're working on a holiday.
and that
Which
gets
is-
old
Well,
after
June-
doing it time and time and time again.
On one of the minor holidays.
Yeah, we could identify that too.
Yeah.
We'll just send out, Valley will send out an email and we'll see.
Well, I think for now, we'll put this on the back burner, continue discussions. Valley can kind of get some feedback and just pass it on to us. We don't have to discuss probably every detail here, but once some of that feedback's here and we feel like we're ready to make a decision, we can bring it back for discussion.
So what options do we want to give? Follow state holiday? Have another schedule? Like what?
Well, I
is
think
this
one
email we're
option,
gonna send out, what is it gonna say?
I think one option sounds like just follow the state
Okay.
holiday schedule.
Does that
I
include
think
the
with-
days the governor gives off
I
too?
I think
No,
there's
that
probably
doesn't,
gonna be
that
two
does not include the
options.
governor.
Well, but,
State holidays are state holidays.
well, but what I'm saying though is if we follow the state schedule, there are dates that traditionally the state always gives.
I
off.
would assume not.
Would that follow that or would it not? That's what I'm.
I
asking
would
for
assume not,
clarification.
because that's gonna depend on whoever's sitting here, if they want to follow suit with the governor or not.
Well, but
So
if-
what
Yeah,
what we need to discuss or decide is gonna be put into the handbook, and that will be a permanent holiday schedule. Any, floating holidays or of the such would be determined by the commissioners, I would think, if we wanted to give a day off.
sounds good.
So maybe paying people with switching to the state holiday or using the holidays we have or the days we have. If there's a different holiday, that should be switched out. Start there. Thanks. Okay. With that, do you want to send Ryan one more? Heads up? Thank you. With that, time for public comment. Anybody in the audience care to make a public comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. Bring it to item 14, commissioner updates.
Well, Commissioner Clemish and I went to the jail last week as visitors and had a little tour, and we toured the inside the pod, the 3 pods that were the men's as well as the women's pod, to look at the railings, which are about, I would say, 4 feet tall, and talk to the individual that was showing us around. And there have been 2 people, one more recent that has had a jury trial here in town within the last 2 months. He jumped over the railing in an effort to allegedly harm himself and landed on his bottom, didn't harm himself too much. The other lady jumped about 10 years ago, and she broke her back and ended up in a Vera Sacred Heart Hospital for several months. So it would appear that it would be reasonably easy to extend those towards the ceiling. But obviously, I'm not an engineer. So,
Duct tape another railing on top of it.
well, no, I think you could just build what you have before and make it taller,
Yeah. Okay.
welded steel. But it would certainly keep those folks from, if they use the same dimensions as the ones that are already there, only taller, it would keep people from attempting to harm themselves.
Did you talk at all with Jim or Officer Fire or anybody?
We've spoke with them on the phone.
Okay.
It was just us getting a visual
Yeah.
lay of the land, and that'd probably be the next step, is we'd have to go sit down with them and get a recommendation on what they want to see. But
They seem supportive of that.
yeah,
idea.
yeah, very much so. They thought that was an excellent idea that Wanda brought up.
Okay.
We have that jail fund too, the jail building.
Okay, thank you.
We'll just keep moving forward on that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Kettering.
But today I attended the Zoom meeting for the tourism, state tourism department. And they're kind of doing gangbusters in 2021 and looking for a really great 2022. And this is mainly a discussion from the company that analyzes the data and collects and analyzes the data for them. It was interesting, a lot of good opportunities. And then I mentioned this at our planning and zoning last week, but I attended the GOED meeting week or so ago, and you know what, everything is not all, it seems to us like quite often everything is bad or a disaster. There's really some pretty good things going on in the state. Site Selection magazine named South Dakota second in the nation in projects per capita. Sioux Falls was also recognized as vaulting to the top and leading the metro areas of up to 200,000 people in per capita. Sioux Falls was named America's most affordable place to live and work in 2022 by a good hire. They also was ranked second as the most affordable housing area. And then also the mention that through Thrive and the city, Yankton is to receive a major expansion on one of our local manufacturers, which is $80 million project, approximately half of which would come to Yankton. And, I think that was it.
Thank you. Dan?
From
the outside.
Eight county meeting coming up tomorrow for those who are going to come in Vermillion. On Thursday at 12 o'clock, well, all day Thursday, they're doing the Rockathon at the senior center. So if you have at the center, I'm sorry. So if you have a chance, go down there and support your favorite rocker. The funds that the center is raising for the Rockathon go to the Meals on Wheels program. So those seniors in our community who can't afford a nutritious meal, that's where this funding goes, and that helps out in numerous ways. The longer we can keep seniors in their own home and healthier, the better off it is for everybody, the county included. And so around 12 o'clock, I'm getting a pie in the face for $100. So I guess if I've made a decision you don't like in Yankton County, you can come throw a pie in my face if you donate $100 to the center rockathon.
How
So,
hard can they throw?
well, you got a good arm, so you better, we might have to charge you double. So
Can we eat half of them before we throw the other
depends
half?
on what kind it is. I don't know what they're doing. I think they're doing the whipped cream, but it goes to a good cause. And I hope you guys can make an opportunity to stop down. If not, call in and make a donation to your favorite rocker. So, thank you.
Last Friday, when we had our strategic meeting, the one thing we didn't touch on is recreational cannabis. It did not get passed by the legislature, but it's going to be on the ballot this fall. And if it gets passed, I don't know if it goes into effect immediately or if there's a delay, but I think it would behoove us to have our poop in a pile in anticipation that it gets passed. And that's a big one. And we rushed it the last time we did medical and it turned out fine, but it's better to prepare.
Deb, have you heard
you're
of any
right.
of the or any of the medical licenses been issued for any of the county applications yet?
Not through the state. as
Okay.
far as we know.
Thank you.
So I know we set some priorities for zoning, but can you put recreational marijuana zoning on the next meeting?
I would personally, I would like to wait because we don't know what's gonna happen come November. That's a long ways off. We got a lot of other things.
We'll
on there.
have
I know
that.
it's
We
really
said
important,
that
but-
on medical marijuana
We
too,
will-
that we had time. And the thing is, if you have what in mind, what you want to do, it can sit here and then we have it ready to go.
And we
If-
can have
If
that
it's
discussion
approved, though, I
of if
think
we
it
want
doesn't
to
go
or
into
not.
effect until
next
July
meeting.
1.
Right.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we have
So
more
it-
than a year to prepare.
So next meeting, we'll discuss if we want to move forward with something in place or if we want to wait.
yeah.
Sounds good.
The way you guys are arguing about this marijuana indicates to me you haven't had a doobie for a while.
Are you bringing to the next meeting?
Yeah. Jesus.
Okay, I don't have really any updates. Sounds like this, there's a chance this is our last daylight savings time we just witnessed
good.
here, so we'll see. I think it passed the Senate, and then the House has to approve it, is my understanding. So. Okay,
So does that mean it stays now like light
Stays-
all the time?
stays as daylight savings time is like now is my understanding.
Good.
So, okay with that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for litigation pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 subparagraph 3 and poor relief pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Fox, second by Kettering. Further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now in executive session.
Guys, you
We have a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are now in regular session.
I would move to deny files CW 21-77, 21-78, and 22 12 based on SDCL 28-13-3 in that those three individuals failed to establish residency in Yankton County.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Move to pay the file of CW 2226 as a mental health hold based on the following SDCL 27A-10-6.
Second.
Motion and a second to pay file 22-026. All those in for further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Items for next. It's the same. It's on there.
Yep, both of them are that.
Items for next meeting. Recreational marijuana. Okay, that'll be good. That's right.
They've been calling kind of all those.
Yep. Okay, and then we do have discussion about Vetter's position. That's for the next meeting.
About what?
Just to, I guess, go through his job description and make
Oh,
sure
the job
everybody's
description.
aware of it.
Is there anything?
And I don't know, do
wanna
we even need to?
change
No, it just seems like there's a lot of question on what duties are and whatnot. And so I think it's just good to go through that job description. And if there's
Yeah.
questions, let's get them out. And if not, then we move on.
I think it's good protection for you.
So that I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Enjoy the weather.